Hey everybody, welcome back to AMC. We are finally in the cut at the Connecticut Regional. Thank you so much for coming back. Finally made it to the top of this tournament. It has been a long road. And as I sit here doing the 7th game of this tournament, I realize something very interesting that I really enjoy. We have Marc playing TargLion on the left and Brandon playing LanniCrossing on the right. But a very interesting aspect of just the format that we've chosen to do here on AMC is that you get to see the same people playing over and over again and the same matchups over and over again. And while initially maybe that doesn't sound all that appealing, what that means is you get to see people make slight adjustments in these matchups. So we've seen TargLion play against LanniCrossing a few times, and now we get to see, I believe we've seen the LanniCrossing win once, and we've seen the TargLion win once. So now we get to see who can make the better adjustment and who's going to come out.
Okay. That's scary.
Right off the bat, I like Marc's start better on the left, just having the burst economy and the Jaime that he can get 2 challenges out of. You know, Cersei's always a pain in the butt to be against early in the game because of the pressure she's going to put on your hand. But I believe there's things that Marc can do to mitigate that. I know he's running Milk of the Poppy. Let's see if he is going to be dropping that onto Cersei immediately. Looks like he's going to get a bomb out early with the King's Road and the Noble Cause. Let's see if Danny makes an appearance. Ooh, Drogo, just as good. Maybe even better. So the way I judge a good card in Game of Thrones is, am I annoyed to see it when my opponent plays it? And Drogo certainly fits that bill. I hate staring at him across the table. Because it's going to change how I have to marshal. Now, not only do I need to make sure I have effective, good, powerful characters on board, I need to make sure that I have characters to dump to double claim soak. And it sucks, because a lot of times what that means is you can't afford to drop 7 gold on Tywin because you have to put out claim soak. Especially with Brandon not having any economy right now. He's in a very tough spot. Hopefully he's got a King's Road in his hand, maybe something he can try to slow Marc down. But as it stands right now, he only has the one very weak military icon, and unless he can get more, he's in big trouble. Drogo and Jaime together are an incredibly effective team. What it means is Marc will be able to, unless Brandon can get a military icon out, trim 2 of his characters. Marc will be able to trim 2 of Brandon's characters without kneeling a single character because of Jaime. That's insane.
Oh my god, that's brutal.
Looks like we see a Tears of Bliss in Brandon's hand. Copy of the Hound. Burned Men. Hand's Judgment. That'll be effective for him. I also noticed it looks like I saw Brothel Madam. That is a very underrated card in my opinion in this game. I love Brothel Madam. If I could find a spot for 3 copies of her, I would. Just applying that little subtle amount of choke can be incredibly effective, especially against a deck that needs to do military challenges like Marc's, because it's going to force him to save a gold every round. And in a game with an already tight economy, having to save that 1 gold is oftentimes the difference between being able to marshal that character, save the 2 gold for put to the sword. Brandon will lose 2 characters here if Marc plays his cards right, as he probably will. I don't see why he wouldn't. Alright. Correct play here by Marc. Though we do know that Brandon has the Burned Men in here, so let's see if he opts to use the 2 gold for the Burned Men. It might be a smart play, if only to kill one of them for claim so that he can still initiate some challenges of his own in a counterattack. unless he is just that concerned about a put to the sword. Because we do see that Marc has 2 gold left, so Brandon may be saving that 2 gold to cancel the put to the sword.
I have no action before herself.
Neither do I.
So,
You win the challenge?
I win the challenge. I have no reactions to winning. He's not
Opposed.
See him kill the Chud here.
And claim?
Or actually, yeah, you know, he's probably right to kill the burn men, because he has no economy. He's going to need that reducer next turn. It's always frustrating when you can't find economy in Thrones. Yeah, it's very difficult to win a game if you don't have any money.
Second military challenge. Jamie and Targ.
Alright, here's where we're going to find out if Brandon has that put to the sword. And if he does, it is my belief that this game is over on the first challenges phase. And I hate to say it, but sometimes it's just that fast.
Yep.
Claim.
Well, it looks like he's jumping to claim step, so I guess no put to the sword.
And I'll trigger Renown.
Yep.
Your challenge.
So not horrible. Brandon will be able to do a counterattack here. It won't be all that effective other than getting 2 cards out of Marc's hand. But Marc really has the pedal to the metal, as he should. So right here, this is a situation where I don't mind Marc kneeling out his board because he knows he's going to lose the intrigue challenge anyways. He knows he's going to lose the military challenge anyways. So the only good leaving Jamie standing would do is to prevent Brandon from getting a single unopposed challenge. And so what he's doing is he's essentially trading that power that he's going to give Brendan for a power of his own and a card out of Brendan's hand, which I think is a fair trade.
It is unopposed.
Let's go for this one.
And it's a good one.
And,
Love Littlefinger. I don't like playing more than one of Littlefinger because he is expensive. He is neutral, so you can't really reduce him outside of a King's Road. But
Unopposed power.
if you can get 2 cards and set your economy up, I really do like him, especially for Noble Cause. You can essentially play, if you have a King's Road, you can essentially play Littlefinger for free with a Noble Cause turn.
Intrigue.
Unopposed.
Ooh,
Reaction to winning.
Yep.
that is a little bit of a mistake there,
Tears on
I
Target.
think.
I'll attempt to pay 1 to hand's judgment that.
Okay, so Drogo's going to eat it here with the tears and a cancel. I would have rather see Brandon attack with Cersei here for the
Unopposed
intrigue challenge just to get the extra card out.
power. Claim.
Yes, I realize that would eliminate the possibility of him getting a power off of Marc's house, but I think it's early enough in the game where that is a trade-off I would have happily made,
Power unopposed.
because he would have gotten
Unopposed.
dominance
Well,
in that
unopposed.
spot with Jamie still
Crossing.
standing.
Unopposed.
Yep.
And claim.
Yeah, I don't like that play. I understand why he did it, but I would have preferred to see him get the extra card out of Marc's hand.
So one of those games. Okay. We push on Dom.
Correct.
One
And
down at least.
actually, this guy dies.
Yep.
Power is something down.
Okay, so Brendan has done a good job of getting himself right back in this game. And it could be arguable that he actually is in a better spot than Marc now. With Drogo off the getting Drogo off the table was huge for him. Huge. So now we essentially have dueling Jamies. One of my favorite cards in the second edition card pool. Non-kneeling Renown. Can't say enough about it.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
First player. You're going first. Okay, I'm gonna name military.
I would like to see Marc throw a high initiative, excuse me, I would like to see Brendan throw a high initiative plot here in order to use his Jamie before Marc has a chance to use his Jamie. Either that or calm over Westeros by either player to protect their board. I gotta think both players are running it. But I would love to go first here if I'm either player. So I expect some either calm over Westeros or a high initiative plot. Though if Marc has a Dracarys in his hand, he may not care whether or not he goes first. And he may actually prefer to go second so that he can eliminate characters off of Brendan's board. He does have that dragon. So we are in the cut here. It's single elimination, so the pressure is on. Players are going to take a little bit of extra time to make their decisions. Makes sense. Always take your time. Don't let anybody rush you in this game, ever. If your opponent starts to rush you, tell them to slow down. It is your right. There are players in this game, and I am guilty of this, that will do their best to throw you off of their mental game, throw you off of your mental game by rushing you through steps to make you miss triggers. And that is a controversial part of Game of Thrones. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like that. I am of the opinion that that is part of the mental Game of Thrones. If I can use my words and my actions to make you miss triggers, then I'm going to do it. So we have a first snow versus a second noble cause from Marc. He's going to look to push the economy advantage. He sees that Brennan does not have any economy, so he's going to try to use everything that he can to push out ahead. And he's going to need it, because the dragon's going to go back to his hand from first snow. I like the plot throw by Brennan here. He sees it's not going to affect him, and it's going to force Marc to marshal much more carefully. But back to what I was saying before, it's actually a very divisive topic right now, and it always has been. There are players, a lot of players in DC specifically. Hold on, let's come back to that. Brendan just played Brothel Madam on a first snow turn. I guess he is first player, so I think he just realized he made a mistake.
The dude's getting to me.
Oh, the brothel madam.
Yeah.
So I don't think Brothel Madam is going to work here.
It's funny, I didn't even notice it until like
I was going to say maybe there's a timing issue where he thought the Brothel Madam could be triggered before first snow, and I'm not exactly sure she can't, but it looks like by his reaction he doesn't think that she can be used. So unfortunate mistake there by Brendan, but we are now in our probably 8th or 9th hour of Thrones for these guys. It's an understandable mistake to play into your own first snow. I've done it tons of times. Unfortunate to be sitting across from Gregor when that happens, but man, that is a huge play by Marc. I love Gregor. But while the players resolve this challenges phase, I want to talk about what I was saying before. Some people like to let the cards play for themselves, and they play Thrones strictly as a game of cards, where the text on the cards and the rules of the game are the only tools in your toolbox and the weapons that you can use for your warfare. And that's okay. I think that's a valid approach to the game. However, I believe that there is a secondary way that you can face your opponent, and that is table talk. And if I can engage my opponent in chatter that will distract him and therefore have him miss triggers or move on to dominance while forgetting to make a trigger in challenges phase or vice versa in marshalling phase, I'm going to use every weapon at my disposal to try to win that game. I know some people think that is unethical. I do not. I think it is being a gamer, and I will use every chance that I can to win a game. That is within the rules. And I know other people will disagree. I would love to hear what new 2nd edition players think of that. It generally tends to come down to like how competitive you are as a person, I suppose, or just your opinion on ethics in gaming. But it is a topic that I would like to continue discussion on in 2nd edition. So if you have an opinion on this matter, I would love to hear it. So either post it in the comments of this video, or if you want to chat about it privately, let's have a beer at Dance with Dragons. Because I don't know that there is a right or wrong answer here. I think it's just people on different sides of the fence. But it's an aspect of Thrones that I enjoy, actually. I think it's taking a little bit of the melee game and putting it into Joust. Bye-bye, Tywin. So I think we can sort of see the direction this game is going.
You're dumb.
Stands.
That Gregor is just too good. And I don't mean he's OP. I mean, I love him. I'll suck his dick.
I so shot myself in the foot that round.
It's okay, Brendan.
Yeah.
It's happened to the best of us. And actually, funny story with that exact plot.
Okay.
Now I'm going to test my memory here. I believe at Worlds in 2012 in the finals, it was John Bruno who designed First Snow in 2011 versus Eric Butzloff, and Eric Butzloff dropped First Snow of his own and then proceeded to play
Oh, yeah.
a zero-cost character and then an attachment on that zero-cost character. And he played right into his First Snow, and it cost him the finals. In the finals of the Joust tournament at Worlds in 2012, somebody did that. So what I'm saying is don't feel bad. It happens to the best of us. And for those wondering the specifics, you first edition players, if my memory serves me, what Eric did was he dropped a refugee. Eric was playing Stark Winter versus John Bruno's Targ Hollow Hill deck. And I believe Eric dropped First Snow and then played his own refugee and then Greywind, the attachment on the refugee, and essentially wasted it all. And all attachments were terminal in 1.0, so he lost the character and he lost the attachment to his own plot. So don't worry about it, Brendan. It happens to everybody. I just thought it was funny that it happened in that game versus the guy who designed the card. And especially when it happens to the guy that everybody loves to hate, Mr. Butzloff. Love you, Eric, but I also hate you. Not much Brennan's going to be able to do to get back into this game at this point, I don't think. Triple duped Dragon, Gregor and Jamie. Double Renowns. Marc's already at 7 power with 2 claims showing. Going to be a rough evening for Brendan, unfortunately. That Brothel Madam mistake last turn is proving very costly. Especially in hindsight, looking at it appears he could have marshaled much differently so as not to lose his Cersei. Or at least save the gold to ambush in the Hound or something. Very unfortunate mistake, but we can't fault him for it. But you do hate to see a game in the cut be decided by a brain fart.
Surprise! Stealthy Tywin, and I...
Not much going on here. Brendan doing the best he can.
Which one's that? It's the extra
Extra intrigue, yeah. Safe turn.
Not much point in marshaling that location at this point in the game. I think you need to spend your money on characters. Maybe he doesn't have any characters in hand, but that is essentially wasting money right now, in my opinion. He's not going to get much use out of it, the extra intrigue. He needs his characters for military challenges to put pressure on Marc. Yep. Here it comes, the beginning of the end. If Gregor can hit somebody, it'll just add insult to injury. Marc's subtly reminding Brendan that he has a pile of gold for a put to the sword. And unfortunately, Brendan is in a position where he has to defend these challenges because he can't afford... I don't know that he should have defended with 2. I mean, I think at this point you sort of have to say if your opponent has the put, he has the put, and just defend with 1 to prevent the unopposed power, and use your other characters to defend the other challenges to slow down Marc's power gain and try to make a comeback next turn.
Oh, I should... Well...
Oh.
Here, you can have it.
I don't want it. It's
Okay.
fine.
These guys sort of playing fast and loose with the rules at this point.
Yep.
So, I mean, a little bit of a bizarre decision to defend with 2. I understand he's trying to defend against the put there,
Trade John 15.
Unopposed.
So,
but
reaction
you
to
don't need to.
Tears.
Oh, and he gets tears. Okay, so he has the hands. But yeah, so to finish my thought, Brendan decided to defend with 2 characters there, in my opinion, to try to dodge the put to the sword, which is okay, but what are you're losing way more than you needed to here. You're giving up your only hope at a counterattack or slowing down Marc's rush just to prevent a put to the sword. But really, effectively, defending with 2 characters on that challenge is the same as being hit with a put to the sword, because you're leaving yourself exposed for Marc's power gain on the unopposed challenges, and you're leaving yourself just as open. So it's, I think he should have thought that decision through a little bit, and maybe there's things that I'm missing of cards in his hand, but I would have liked to see him just take the gamble and say, you know, if Marc's got the put to the sword, he's got it, and I'm going to do the best that I can to slow him down in the meantime. Marc's sitting at, looks like 6, 7, 8, 12 power, so game should be ending this phase. Wouldn't be surprised to see Brennan concede unless some sort of double march disaster happened, but even then, I really don't see what Brendan can do to turn things around. Like, yeah.
Counting coppers.
Unless, I mean, there is certainly, we have, looks like a double counting coppers. There's a far-fetched way that Brendan could win if he top decks or counting coppers some sort of never bet against my family, put to the sword Gregor combination and can kill Jamie. Maybe this game can be delayed for another round, but I don't see it really happening. Marc's just playing a very good, safe game here. Being very careful and methodical in his decisions. And I think this game was really determined on round 2. The first snow turn, that mistake, was really the turning point in the game. Unfortunately, you do hate to see that, and it makes you wonder how the game would have played out differently. Sometimes you wish you could turn back the clock just to see what would have happened, because it was a neck and neck game at that point. And that just sort of goes back to what I have been saying for a long time, that in second edition, the struggle to gain board position and dominance is very real, and once you gain it, you are in a very good position, obviously, to win the game, but the determination of who is going to gain and win that board position a lot of times will come down to who makes the first mistake. And unfortunately for Brendan, that he is the one that made the mistake in this game. He's going to beat himself up about that for a long time. There's mistakes that I still beat up myself about from 5 years ago.
No.
Especially if he falls in love with this game. Looks like Marc's going to win on triple renown defense here.
Things I do for love on Jorah.
Looks like Brendan's going to try to return Jorah to Marc's hand, which I think we saw Marc as a cancel. So this should be the game over here.
His gold cost. So it's an X.
Yeah, Brendan, try not to let that mistake bother you too much. Those things happen. Try to let it go. I know you probably won't be able to, but all right. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the aftermatch chat, and I'll see you in a couple of days for the next round.
I brain farted and gave the game away.
I think we were both pretty delirious because like we both messed so many things up in that game. Like
you played perfectly well.
Well, I play okay, but I like when you put the meta M out, I was like, oh, that seems good, and then like it was only afterwards that I realized, and I'm like, oh, maybe.
I accidentally played Madam on my own first snow. When I had Burn Men in my hand, I had no bolt left.
Yeah.
So Cersei died.
I was really close to marching one of those turns, but the thing is, I was worried that you would march also. And then, like, I would have no guys, and you would have no guys, but that was still only one of your guys, right?
Town was my last chance in that game.
Yeah.
But you got him out of like 7 cards.
Yep. Yeah, that was a lucky pull.
But I fully deserved that loss, so I don't mind.